Representative Jacobs, and now we recognize Representative Mike Lawler from the state of New York for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you may know, I currently co-chair the Moldova caucus and have since I joined Congress. A place like Moldova really exemplifies how some good governance and anti-corruption assistance can actually go a long way. Can you discuss some of the impactful programming that the U.S. has supported in Moldova in the last decade? Ask any of you to opine.
You guys are there, right?
I think I'm going to defer to Dr. Quirk on that one because I don't have the details on Moldova.
What I can say, broadly speaking, support we provide in countries like Moldova is to support the infrastructure of democracy, strong political parties, civil society, legislatures, so that they can rule their own country and govern in a way that makes the country stable.
I mean, one more specific example that, as you know, there was an extremely important election in Moldova last year that Putin tried to undermine in every way that he could. That election was observed, as I recall, by NDI and IRI, observers on the ground, all funded 100% by the US government. If there were an election in Moldova today of equal importance, we could not deploy a single person because all of that money is frozen.
Mr. Quirk, to that end, can you share from your perspective how election monitoring is actually helpful, and are there ways to make these trips and verifications more effective?
Happy to. IRI, along with our NDI colleagues, have provided election observation services for hundreds of elections. These efforts provide an independent check from pre-election, election day, post-election to ensure that the processes are free, fair, transparent, absent of which ruling or opposition party might be inclined to conduct fraud. And moreover, following the election process, the reports indicate areas in which the country should improve their electoral processes so it is even better the next time around.
Transnational repression, obviously when governments reach across borders to harass and silence dissidents, has become a significant human rights concern in recent years. Repressive regimes abuse Interpol red notices and use overseas law enforcement offices in an effort to control citizens living abroad. NGOs report that there have been over 1,000 cases in the last decade perpetuated by over 44 countries, with the most common perpetrators being China, Russia, Turkey, and Egypt. What transnational activities by authoritarian governments are most concerning from a human rights perspective, and how could the State Department respond to that?
Mr. Lawler, can I address that?
Sure.
I mean, I'll give you a really good example. Overseas Chinese police stations, right? And they exist here.
We've had them in New York.
That's what I mean. They have them in Minneapolis, St. Paul. You know, so when countries transcend their borders, and it's not just countries, I might add, transnational organized criminal groups like Boko Haram, you know, the various gangs that control our border, you know, those are all very concerning. And so the question becomes, what's the best diplomatic response? You know, and then how do you back that up with some serious money? I mean, that is nobody's arguing here that we shouldn't do this. In fact, having helped run a statewide election in my home state of Ohio, I know exactly how elections get run. I know the machines, I know the counting, I know all the things. By the time you get to election observers, I think election observers are great, you know, but many boards of election in this country get nervous when we bring in observers. You know, that's our problem. You know, what we need to do is bring in election officials and watch how the election actually happens. You know, and that's not just observing. It's a long process over a couple of years.
Mr. Malinowski.
Yeah, so it's most disturbing when it happens on our soil, obviously. It's the countries you mentioned, I would say Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Khashoggi, and a number of other countries. When I was in Congress, this was a priority, pushing the State Department to do more about this. One success we had was that they started including examples of transnational repression in the annual human rights reports on every country in the world. Those are important because it's the one time in the year when the State Department is forced to be honest about everybody, whether it's comfortable or not. And I'm afraid the news we've gotten is that the administration has decided to take out from the annual human rights reports that section on transnational repression. So I would encourage you to take that up with them before that decision is final. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.